I would, get rid of
Okay.
that podium.
Good.
Yeah, because it's never gonna be. Yep, so.
No way.
Yeah, the one in the blue and one in the green.
Yeah.
downstairs. Perfect. Yep. We're good. Okay.
Until they're ready to go.
Okay.
We went up here and moved it. They had a podium middle stage where you had like a 2x2.
Okay.
And we just kicked the podium off,
Okay.
moved that up.
Do I have a wireless mic out there? or-
There is. So there's currently one wireless all the way across.
Okay.
I figured Chris was going to get that to do the introduction.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go find
Okay.
him now.
No, we'll be good.
We're ahead of schedule.
Yeah, we're doing great.
Okay.
You're doing great.
Governor just wanted you to say hi.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
It's great to see you.
You too,
You doing
Governor.
okay?
Yeah.
Did you have a good weekend?
I did.
Good,
That was the
good.
convention.
It
Did
was
you
fun.
stay? I didn't
Yeah.
get to your booth, but you were there, so
Yeah.
that was fantastic.
Yeah, we were there. We left just about 2:30, I think, is when I had to leave. So
And the hot dogs.
yeah.
1,000 J
Excellent.
dogs.
We did okay. We should have gotten 2,000 apparently. So
I can't believe there were 2,000 state delegates there.
We were-
Honestly,
I
was
know.
like,
Yeah, I know.
when they
It's-
read the credentials before, I was like, wow, that's pretty.
it was pretty good.
Pretty good for
yeah,
off
yeah.
season.
Hey, congratulations, your daughter.
Oh,
That's awesome.
thank you.
I'm so
Thank you.
excited.
She's
Is
so
she looking forward to it?
Yeah.
Good.
She had a lot of offers,
Yeah.
but not all of them were full ride. I'm like, you're going to pay for it, so it's your
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah.
And I really didn't want her to go to Florida or California or anything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
You're going to be responsible to pay for it. And she was like, oh. So it made it really easy for
That's
her to be
awesome.
like, okay, I'm going to go.
It's a great school.
It'll be
We
good.
love it. It's
Yeah.
a great opportunity. And my wife's sister made the mistake. She went to Iowa to play softball and had a terrible experience, and it kind of messed her up. So she
Yeah.
came back and played at Snow, and that was a better experience for her. So
Yeah.
I think it's a great opportunity for these kids to
I agree.
still play the sport they love, get a great education, not be in debt.
Not be in debt. I
Huge
know.
debt,
She's like, I
yeah.
don't want to have to work full time and go to school
Yeah.
and play ball.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Thanks for coming today. I know
No,
you're busy.
I know, like, people think that I don't like you or whatever, but I do.
I like
You're
you
super
too.
genuine. We might disagree, but I'm like, he's really
But we actually
nice.
don't disagree that much.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Well,
So,
when we do,
yeah.
like, we might disagree and
Yeah.
everyone likes to talk about it, but I'm like, I
Yeah.
don't dislike him.
Yeah, no,
I
thank
think
you.
I mean, like, I know what it's like. Everyone thinks I'm a communist because I voted for the
I
flag.
can't believe that. It's
I know, that one's crazy.
Okay.
I saw that, and I keep telling people, I'm like, no, you can't, you don't attack your
One
allies
or two
like
issues
that.
you disagree
Yeah.
on doesn't
Yeah.
make you like stand
Yeah.
strong on those issues, but like
Yeah,
don't fight people.
yeah.
Anyway,
no,
so
no,
anyway, I
no.
appreciate you.
You're the best. It really means a lot.
Oh,
You
thank
come
you.
and tell your family hi, and
You got it.
We'll see you soon.
No,
Okay.
thank you.
Thanks.
Should I
You
Come out this way.
You go back out.
I just wanted you to know that we have an auditorium, a freshman, because we can't all fit in.
Yeah.
No, excuse me, a gym.
Yeah.
A freshman, so they're separated.
Okay,
Just
that's
so
that's
that-
great, and that's
FYI.
what the
Okay, so
well,
yeah.
they've got me mic'd
Oh,
up
perfect,
for
perfect.
the feed. Yep, we're good. So, hey everyone, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. It's nice to meet all of you. Thanks for doing this morning. I really appreciate it. It's a pleasure to meet all of you. Are you nervous at all? No. Good. Don't be. It's nothing to be nervous about. Except I get to ask you questions, and they're easy questions. So you'll all go hard, but all right. Well, we'll throw out some trigonometry questions and stuff that you can see how you do on the fly. But, yeah, it'll be great. It's really kind of you to do this. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you. Appreciate it.
So the student body president will introduce you, and I guess
Okay.
the principal will say something too.
Okay. Sounds good.
Commissioner Fackrell is on the front row,
Okay.
and the mayor is sitting next to him on the front row too. Just so you know that they're here. Commissioner Fackrell is on the front row, and the mayor is sitting next to him on the front row too. Just so you know that they're here. Commissioner Fackrell is on the front row, and the mayor is sitting next to him on the front row too. Just so you know that they're here.
Thank you for that kind introduction. You have an amazing student body president. I got a chance to meet with your SBOs before we started, and they are incredible. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be here in Morgan, one of my favorite places. It's so fun to be here. I have a sister-in-law from here. It's so beautiful. There's still so much snow. I can't believe how much snow is still out there. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But I grew up in a small town, a lot like Morgan, a small town of Fairview, right in the middle of the state. You know us as North Sanpete, and you always beat us and stuff. So we win a couple, but usually you guys dominate. But it's fun to be here. I love coming back to rural places and to chat about a few things. So look, I want to thank first of all your amazing principal. We've been so welcomed here. I'm grateful. We have members of the county commission here. We have mayor. We have elected officials. We have members of the school board that are here. We have Representative Keira Birkeland, who is here with us. She's incredible in the legislature. I'll talk a little bit about some of the things that are happening in the legislature. But most importantly, I'm excited to be here with you students. And the reason I wanted to come today is I believe that for you, there has never been a better time to be alive than right now. And there has never been a better place to live than Utah. And I hope by the end of today, you'll feel that as well. And there's a few things I want to share with you. But before I talk about your future and some of the great things that are happening in our state, I want to talk a little bit about my past. And I know what you're thinking. You're rolling your eyes. Like, last thing we want to hear about is some old guy talking about what it used to be like. But please stay with me, because there's also some old people here who will remember what I'm talking about, okay? When I was your age, I was worried about life. I was worried about the future. I was worried about some of the crazy things that were happening in our world and our country. And I want to share a couple of those with you today. I was worried about mundane things too, right? How many of you like music? Have any music fans out there? Yeah, right. We love music. Now, music was a challenge when we were your age. We had cassette tapes. And you would listen to these cassette tapes, and you would hear this terrible noise, and it meant that your tape recorder was eating the tape out of your cassette. And you would hurry and hit stop, and you would pull it out, and you have to use a number 2 pencil to try to wind it up and hope it worked again. And none of you have any idea what I'm talking about, but the struggle was real, let me assure you. I see some heads nodding up here with the older generation. We worried about kind of crazy stuff in the world. We worried about Russia. I guess we're still worried about Russia, but we were convinced that during the Cold War, that any day Russia was going to send a nuclear missile to hit the small town of Fairview. I don't know why they were going to target Fairview, but we just felt that Fairview was definitely going to be a target. And we would practice for that event by getting under our desks, as if these little desks would stop a nuclear weapon, right? Those were the things we were worried about. We were worried about the hole in the ozone layer. How many of you have heard of the hole in the ozone layer? Okay, a few of you, maybe more than I expected. Now, here, let me try to explain this in a way that will make your science teachers roll their eyes. So basically, there is this layer of ozone around the Earth, and it protects us from these harmful cosmic rays, so the sun's rays and others that basically cause cancer. So there was this hole in the ozone layer, and it was growing. And the problem was that as it got bigger, it was estimated that more than half of the people living in Utah at the time would develop some form of rare cancer in their lifetime. So less rare, I guess, but over 1 million people would develop cancer because of this hole. Guess what was causing the hole in the ozone layer? I heard it, hairspray. All right, so the chemical actually in a hairspray and aerosol cans was causing this hole to expand. Now, I don't know if you've seen pictures of like your parents in the 80s, but there was so much hairspray going on, right? Ladies, I mean, hairspray up to here. Guys too, I had hair back then, lots of Aquanet. It was a real thing. Now, the reason most of you haven't heard about the hole in the ozone layer is that we fixed it, right? And that's my point. The reason you don't have to use a number 2 pencil to fix your music is because we developed a better way to listen to music. Right? My point is that no matter what challenges we face as human beings here, we can work together to solve those challenges. And I want to share some of the challenges that we're working on right now and how we're working to solve them. I just mentioned Representative Birkeland. we just finished a 45-day legislative session. It was an incredible session. She and her colleagues passed 575 bills that I signed into law. 575 bills in 45 days. Now, you probably only heard about maybe 5 or 6 of those, and they were the most controversial ones because, of course, that's what the media likes, right? They like the controversy because that sells papers and eyeballs and clicks, right? So, what you missed out on, the other 570, were awesome bills that are really making life better and solving problems. Let me share just a few of those. So one of the things that I worry about is making sure that we have the best education system in the country. And I'm here to tell you right now that you are getting a better education than at any time in the history of our state. You have better teachers now than at any time in the history of our state. You're getting a better education than I got when I graduated from high school in the 90s. There are more opportunities for you now than ever before. But I want to inspire the next generation of teachers. Right? And I hope that some of you are considering becoming teachers, but you're not going to do that if you can't afford to raise a family on a teacher's salary. And so the legislature stepped up. We were able to pass the largest education funding increase in our state's history and the largest teacher compensation increase in our state's history. That's a big deal for our current teachers and for the next generation of teachers. Again, these are problems that we can solve. How many of you are worried about water and drought in the Great Salt Lake? Any of you worried about that? Probably less worried now than you were 6 months ago before it stopped snowing and never stopped, right? But still a concern. Now, again, we're not helpless. Did you know that right now you are thriving through the worst drought in over 1,200 years in the western United States? And yet you're doing just fine. Now, why are you doing just fine? The reason you're doing okay is because people that came before us understood that there would be drought cycles, and they built reservoirs and water delivery systems, right, to make it so that when droughts hit, we don't all die, right? That's why we're surviving and thriving. And here's the thing, even through the worst drought in 1,200 years, we decided that we could solve problems together. Did you know that over the past 2 years, Utahns have conserved almost 20 billion gallons of water? You, your families, all of us, 3 million people decided we're going to conserve water, 20 billion gallons. Did you know that the legislature over the past 2 years has approved $1 billion in new water conservation funding to help farmers and others use much less water? Right? Again, we have a problem, we can solve that problem, and we're fixing that problem. Number 3, how many of you are worried about the rising cost of housing? Okay, yeah, all of you should be. Look, I have 4 kids, I have 3 of them in college, I have one who's your age, 16-year-old. I want my kids to be able to live here in Utah. Right? I want my kids to live near me. I do not want my kids to live with me for the rest of their lives. And I don't think you want to live with your parents for the rest of your lives either, right? And so what? Well, and so we have to decrease the cost of housing. We do that by increasing supply. Several bills were passed, millions of dollars in funding to help us with this problem, to help us decrease the price of housing so that when you graduate, when you get a job, when you and your families decide that it's time to buy a house, that there will be houses available that you can afford, okay? Last thing, I'm sure you're also worried about the rising cost of everything else, right? We've seen inflation going up in our country significantly over the past couple of years, more so than at any time since I was about 5 or 6 years old in the early 80s. Now, how can we help with that? Well, there's several things we can do, but I want to share one. One thing that government can do is to take less of your money so that you have more money to spend on the things that you and your family need. Now, before I became governor, the largest tax cut in our state's history was $225 million. My first year as governor, we cut $100 million. My second year working with the legislature, we cut $200 million. This year, we cut over $800 million in taxes. That's your money. That's your family's money. That's an opportunity for you to use that money on other things that you need as prices rise across our country. So again, we are not helpless. We can solve problems, and there's never been a better time to be alive than right now. Never been a better place than right here in Utah. Now, will you do me a favor? We're going to invite some of your fellow students out on the stage, and we're going to ask each other some questions. So please give them a round of applause, and let's welcome them out here. All right, welcome guys, I'll sit here. You got a seat for everybody, I think? I hope so. Okay. All right, we're perfect. Okay. All right, now I'm very excited to have your fellow students here with me, and we're going to start by having them ask me questions that they've prepared, and then I get to ask them a bunch of questions as well. Now, I know you all know their names, but some of my team is here, and they do not know your name, so if you could share your name before you ask your question, that would be helpful. We'll go ahead and get started.
Okay, awesome. Coming from a rural community yourself, what are your thoughts on new development and how to manage the pressure that they can put on schools and communities like ours? And I'm Addie Morgan.
Thank you, Addie. No, that's great. Thank you, Addie. So yeah, here in Morgan, you guys are seeing really explosive growth, right? I mean, when we were playing you guys in sports when I was a kid, there were probably 400 or 500 students here in the school, and now you're over 1,000, which is remarkable. And so managing that growth becomes very important. I always wish we could just build a wall around Utah and keep it exactly like it was, but we know that's not possible. And because we've been so successful, more and more people want to be here, right? And more people are moving back. And so what we do is we make sure that we're investing in economic development and that we're investing in infrastructure. That's the key to growth. If we do infrastructure right, if we're able to make sure that we have great freeways, that we have good water systems, all of those things that really matter, we can keep a high quality of life here. We're also trying to move jobs to rural Utah. That's really important for me. I know growing up again in Sanpete County that most of us had to move away when we graduated from high school. And I don't want that to be the case for you guys. So we're working on getting more jobs down in rural Utah. Like we're moving more state jobs. Since I became governor, we moved hundreds of state jobs out into places like Morgan County so that there are more opportunities for students graduating here. And we're going to keep doing that. Great question. Thank you. Thanks, Addie.
My name is Hannah Kenshaw. If there was no budget, if budget was no issue, what would be the most beneficial program to Utah?
Wow, Hannah, I've never thought about it. So if we had all the money we could ever ask for and no budget, what would be the most important program that we could implement here? I guess there are two things I would focus on, and they're the two things we're focusing on now, and that is education to me is still the most important. Some of you have heard that we have less funding per pupil than other states. We're 49th out of 50. We passed Idaho, so take that, Idaho, right? We're moving in the right direction, but we still have a long ways to go. We have a couple challenges there. One is that we have more students per capita than any other state in the nation, right? So we've got a lot of kids, and that's a really good thing, but it is a challenge when it comes to funding. And number two, most states, I don't know if you know this, but most states fund their schools with property taxes. We do some of that here, but one of the problems is the federal government owns close to 70% of our state, and they don't pay taxes on that land. So we don't have that ability with property taxes. So we have more kids than other states and less land to tax than other states. And that leads us to this difficult conundrum. Now, we do more with less than any other state in the nation, but if money was never an issue, that's where I think I would put it, most of it. Great, thank you. Okay.
Hi, I'm Ben Hall.
Hey, Ben.
In George Washington's farewell address, he states, "Sooner or later, the chief of some prevailing faction, more able or more fortunate than its competitors, turns the disposition to the purposes of his own elevation on the ruins of public liberty. In a world that is becoming increasingly more divided, how have you helped create unity? And how can we, the future of this nation, help mend the division and create a more united America starting now?"
Yeah, Ben, great question. Shout out to George Washington's farewell address. If you haven't read it, go read it. It's really incredible. I read it at least once a year. It's one of my favorites, and it's a good reminder. And I appreciate, I love that question because it's actually, after we're done asking questions, it's the thing I'm going to finish with the students because I believe so strongly in it. But let me just, I won't share all of it right now, but I will share this. Where we really need your help, we are so divided right now. And where your generation can help, I think, is especially on social media. Social media is kind of designed to tear us apart. It makes it so easy to just attack anonymously, to say things that you would never say face to face with someone. My lieutenant governor, and I need to be reminded of this because I fall short all of the time. She has a motto that she kind of lives by. She says, if it feels good, don't post it. And I need to always remember that because it is so easy to tear people down, and it feels good in the moment, but it never feels good afterwards and long term. And so that's one area where we really need your help. But I'm going to spend about 10 minutes talking more about that one. So stay tuned. All right? Thanks, Ben.
Hi, I am Kai Toon.
Hi, Kai. You're good. You're good.
So my question is, it is said that as a teen, you had teachers that were able to help you out of dark times. Teachers have one job, and that's to educate the future generation of America. But have you experienced, and so have I, teachers that are more than just educators, and they can help with us to keep us going? How are you going to repay the kind deeds of teachers that educate you?
Yeah, thank you, Kaya, for that question. I'm so grateful for, I mentioned, I think we have the best teachers in the history of our state right now. And that is because they are doing more than they've ever been asked to do before. And part of that is to really help those of us who struggle. I did mention that I struggled with my own mental health when I was younger. My parents got divorced when I was 11 years old, and it was a really dark time for me. And so many teachers stepped up to help me and were people that I could talk to. And so what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to literally repay them by paying them more money. I think that's really important, again, because of the big burden that we're trying to carry. I'm also looking for ways to lighten their loads as we can. We have so much reporting and paperwork, and we're asking teachers to do things other than teach that don't need to happen. Now, a lot of that comes from the federal level. There's no question, and we're pushing back there. But there are things that we can do better as a state. And my lieutenant governor, before she was lieutenant governor, she was working on some legislation to help peel some of that back, and I'm hoping we can do that. We want teaching to be the profession where everybody wants to do it. It's something that people are excited about, and when I hear teachers say to their own kids, whatever you do, don't become a teacher, that's not good for us. That means we're doing something wrong and we have to do better. So I appreciate that question. So great. Can we give our teachers a round of applause? Thank you, teachers. All right, Tristan, you're up.
My name is Tristan, and my question is, since you've been in office, how have you improved our economy and our education system? Yeah, thanks, Tristan. We've talked a little bit about education and what we're trying to do there. Again, making sure that there are more opportunities available for our students. As far as the economy goes, it's been a really interesting time, especially coming out of COVID. But I'm really happy to report that Utah, just about by every metric, has the best economy in the country right now. And the way we do that is by making sure that we are a place where business can thrive. And so I've tried to talk about Utah being the startup state, the best place in a nation to start a business. If you're interested in starting a business, I believe there's no better place than right here. And it's not just me being a cheerleader and saying that. There have been 2 studies done in the past 2 months, both of them by Wallet Hub, where they look at every state and then they take about 15 different metrics in those states, and they're looking at the startup economy. Utah was named the #1 state to start a business, the #1 state. Number 2 and number 3 were Texas and Florida. So that tells you kind of the competition that we're up against. We were #1. And then they named the best cities, the best kind of small, medium-sized cities to start businesses in this country. And Utah had 4 out of the top 5 and 11 out of the top 30. Think about that. Of all the cities in the nation, we ended up with 4 of the top 5. So the good news, again, there's never been a better time a better place to live than right here in Utah. And right now, there have never been more jobs available in our state's history than right now. And they've never paid more than they've paid right now. We have minimum wage at $7 and change, and nobody is paying minimum wage. My daughter just got a summer job. She's 16. She's got a summer job that will pay $16 an hour. That was a job that just a couple years ago paid $7 an hour. So again, there are so many great opportunities for all of you right now. Okay, Tristan, are you ready for your first question? Yeah. Okay. It's very easy. We're going to start out easy. I told them no trigonometry questions. Here's the first one. Best part of school, worst part of school. And you all get to answer it. So, best part of school, worst part of school. Probably the best part of school is probably just, I don't even know. Maybe just like, maybe like, probably the people around here. They're awesome around here.
Good answer.
Probably the worst part of school though is probably all the homework and stuff. It's a lot of stress, I guess.
Yeah, I hear that all the time from my kids. Okay, Kaya, best part, worst part?
The best part was the social aspect, and then I like the opportunity to learn and grow. But the worst part is burnout at the end of the year.
You starting to feel it? It's close, right? Okay. All right. Ben?
The best part would probably be the lunch. It's pretty good here.
Love it. I love it.
The worst part would probably be the grind.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Hannah?
The best part for me is walking every day to see my friends, and the worst part is definitely realizing it's 8 p.m. and I have not done my practice chemistry.
Yep. That sounds familiar at my house. Addie?
I'd say that the best part is the opportunities, but also the community here in Oregon, because everyone's really supportive and lifts each other up. And I'd say that the worst part is the stress.
The stress. You all kind of feel that stress at one level or another. Okay, great answer. Okay, next answer, we'll start with you, Addie. Okay, here it's a two-part question. You can choose to answer either of them or you can answer both of them, whatever you decide. So something that you're worried about our state, about your future, anything you're worried about, or something you wish me and my generation, so the elected leaders, teachers, something you wish we knew about your generation or understood better about your generation. So again, something you're worried about or something you wish we knew about your generation.
I'd say something I'm worried about is the aspect that we've kind of grown up with social media, and so some people don't know how to live without it and don't know, it's just caused a lot of stress and a lot of the youth.
Thank you. Let me ask this question since we're on it. How many of you think that social media has had at least some negative impact on young people or yourselves? Any? Yeah, me too. Which is why we passed a couple of social media bills. We're trying to work on that and hold those companies more accountable. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. Hannah?
Going back to social media, I feel like oftentimes, depression and anxiety of youth my age is often blamed on social media, which to a large extent is caused by the often discussing the problem only stops at recognizing there's a problem, and it doesn't go past that. There's no action to help anything, and so I feel like recognizing that the problem doesn't stop at just recognizing.
Thank you. Great answer. Ben, something you're worried about or something you wish we knew?
Something I'd be worried about is going into the future, all the past generations' problems that are carried on with us. As we progress, towards the greater America, we have to deal with our own problems and problems of solutions that haven't been found yet, such as global warming. That's coming big. That was first appeared in the 70s. Now it's more present than ever, and now we have a national debt that just keeps growing. And you also stated, how can you learn from us? What you want to know about us? I think a more appropriate question is, what can we learn about you so that we can start solving, the problems that haven't been solved yet, along with problems that will need to be solved.
Thank you, Ben. Great point. Love that. Kaya?
I'm just worried about all these businesses that are understaffed.
Okay.
And how in the future, how our generation will pick up and circulate.
Yeah, we're seeing that, right? We're seeing that there are so many open jobs that some businesses can't do what they need to do, right? Okay, great answer. All right, Tristan, take us on.
What I'm most worried about is just how much division our country has right now. There's just so much hate going on. I just wish we could be together more, I guess.
Yeah. You're not alone. And by the way, we're going to talk more about that. And in fact, I'm glad you said that, because here's the final question that I have for all of you, okay? And by the way, this final question is for all of you as well, all right? Now, I want you to think hard about this one. It's only one word, okay? How would you describe our country right now in one word? In one word, okay? One word. Now, listen. It can be a negative word. It can be a positive word. It's not, hold on. Stay with me here. Stay with me. It's not what you want our country to be or what our country used to be. It's if I came right now from South America or from Europe and asked you to describe our country in one word, what would that be?
I would say confused.
Confused. Okay.
In the process of trying to heal.
So healing? No, that's okay. It's a sentiment, though. Yeah. So we're healing or in the process of healing. Okay, Ben?
Unresolved.
Unresolved.
Feuding.
Feuding? Yeah.
Learning.
Learning. Okay. Awesome. You guys have been amazing. Let's give them a round of applause. Thanks so much, you guys. We'll have you head right back up that way. Thank you. Okay. Now, I want to talk a little bit about those answers. Now, that question was asked not just of you, but it was actually asked of thousands and thousands of Americans across every state. That question was asked. And then the researchers recorded the answers that were most given, right? But before I tell you, how many of you thought of a negative word? Yeah. How many of you thought of a positive word? Okay. By the way, this is very representative of every school I've been in, and it's very representative of the rest of the country. It's about 10 negative to 1 positive, okay? The most common word, the number one most common word, we didn't hear it exactly, but we heard variations of it. The number one most common word, and it's the word when I was asked that I used, number one most common word is divided. Right? How many of you said divided? Anybody out there? Yeah, lots of divided out there. Here were some of the other most common ones. Divided, chaotic, intolerant, rigged, and weak. Those were the most common ones. Now, there was a second question asked, and that second question was, how do you feel about the United States? That's a little different than describing the United States. So this was, how do you feel about the United States? Here are the most common answers. Frustrated was number 1, disappointed, number 2, exhausted, disgusted, and angry were the top words. Now, there's been a change over the past 4 years, and I want to go back to what Ben was talking about and what Tristan talked about a little bit. Here's a change. Okay, so 4 years ago, when Republicans were asked, should fellow Republicans work with Democrats to solve problems? And Democrats were asked, should Democrats work with Republicans to solve problems? Over 60% of Americans agreed that we should work together to solve problems. 4 years later, that number has dropped to 49%. Okay? Now, even more worrisome, 7 out of 10 Democrats and Republicans perceive the other side as brainwashed, hateful, and arrogant. Now, I want to go back, I want to go back to when I graduated from high school. When I graduated from high school, 20% of Republicans and 17% of Democrats had a very unfavorable view of the other side. Okay, so only 20% and 17% had a very unfavorable view of the other side. Today, that's gone to 60% and 54% have a very unfavorable view of the other side. So again, that goes back to what Ben said, right? We're more divided than we've ever been before. Now, I want to share some positive news if I can. The good news is that Utah is less divided than the rest of the nation right now. That's the good news. The bad news is we're trending that way. We're headed down, but we're not as divided as the rest of the nation. The other good news is that 70% of Americans don't like how divided we are right now and want us to be less divided. So there is hope out there. And again, to Ben and Tristan's concerns about the future, how do we fix this problem, right? Just like the aerosol can hairspray, right? The hole in the ozone layer, just like we don't have to wind a tape with a number 2 pencil anymore, we can fix this problem too, but we need your help, okay? I mentioned some of the answers here. What I want to tell you is it's not that we all have to agree to get along. That's not what our nation was founded on. Our nation was founded on diverse and very passionate disagreements, right? It's not that I think you all have to agree the same. We don't, but we have to learn how to disagree better. There is unhealthy conflict and there is healthy conflict. We used to be a nation that understood healthy conflict, that we could debate without tearing each other down, that we could debate without hating each other. We have forgotten that, and we need to remember. Now, it's something I need to be reminded of all of the time, right? If it feels good, don't say it. If it feels good, don't post it. Have you ever changed your mind when someone attacked you and told you you were an idiot, you were stupid, how dare you? You haven't, because that's not how we change minds. In fact, what happens is when someone attacks us, what do? We go into defense mode and we attack back, right? And I need to be reminded of this all of the time. I forgot this past weekend, right? Somebody came after me, and instead of being calm and listening, I wanted to do the exact opposite, right? I wanted to push back. I wanted to fight back. It's hard. It's not in our human nature, and we have to work on it, but it is so much better. Right? It feels good to punch back in the moment, but it never does long term. And that's where I need your help. Whether it's on social media, whether it's in conversations, whether it's with your neighbor. When you are debating something and you have a disagreement, we need to understand how to disagree better, how to disagrrie with respect, how to listen with concern and understanding. 50 years ago, it was unique in under time. And that is that we have unalienable rights. Among them are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You know this, right? And where do those rights come from? Well, the Declaration of Independence tells us that those rights come from on high, and we are born with them. We are endowed with them from our Creator. Okay? And here's the thing. Government does not give us those rights, right? Government exists or is formed to protect those rights, not the other way around. And the power is held not by government, but by we the people. We the people hold that power. And every 2 years or 4 years or 6 years, those government officials have to come back to we the people and ask us if they can use that power, and we get to say yes or no. We get to decide who wields that power to protect our rights. That is the purpose and foundation of government, and it is beautiful, and it needs to be remembered today. And that speech by one of our founding fathers, George Washington's farewell address, he saw the very problems that we are facing as a nation now, and he laid out those solutions. We can't have this toxic divide. We can't treat each other with disrespect. We can't hate our other Americans. We have to be Americans first and partisans second. And we can do that. We can disagree vehemently, but we can disagree with kindness and respect, and I need your help to do that. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there are problems in our society today, but they are not problems that are unsolvable. They are not problems that cannot be overcome. They are not impossible. They can be solved, and they will be solved by an amazing generation. I am so proud of you. I am so excited for the future that lies before you. It has never been brighter. And don't you dare let anyone tell you that because you came from a small town or a small school that you are less than. Our nation needs what Morgan has right now. Our nation needs people who care about their neighbors, who take care of each other, who look to build instead of tear down, and you have that here. It is special and it is unique, and I pray that you never lose it. The future is bright. There has never been a better time to be alive than right now, and there has never been a better place to live than right here in Utah. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for the problems you're going to solve. God bless you. Keep up the good work.
I had the opportunity a few times now to walk through Independence Hall and to recollect what had happened in that hall when the Declaration of Independence was signed. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a few minutes, if you would like. We're going to, either in the groups or individuals, you can have a photo, you can greet the governor. And what we're going to do is, if you're interested in that, we're going to line up along this wall over here, and then you can come out here in front and take some pictures, and then you're going to leave, going back down that wall, and go out that door right there, that exit that's closest to the cafeteria. Once you leave this room, you're going to be going to third hour. Okay? Freshmen who are in the gym, you also were invited, if you want to come down the concession, the hallway that's closest to the weight room, etc. Go by the counseling center. You can come in the door to the auditorium that's closest to the
Counseling Center, and then you could do the same to come and maybe get a picture with the governor. Well, again, thank you for being wonderful. And we hope you have an absolutely wonderful day. For those who want to line up, please do so. Otherwise, please go.
Let's get one with you guys first. Is that okay? Yeah, for sure. Okay. I'll have you stay right here. Okay.